Good morning, Flosstube. My name is Laura, and I'd like to welcome you to Stitching by the Shore, my channel all about cross stitch with a little bit of paper crafting thrown in too every once in a while. If you are new, I want to say welcome. Thank you so much for pressing play and giving my channel a try. I hope you like what you see. Hit like, subscribe, feel free to ask questions. I do eventually get back to everybody. I tried to do a push on answering comments, and I will get there, I promise. And if you're a returning stitching friend, thank you so much for all of your support, your comments, when you reach out to me, when you tell me what you're stitching. I love all of it. I love the community of cross stitch. It has been a blessing, and I'm not sure how I would have gotten through the last few years without it. So thank you very much to each and every one of you. You mean so much to me, even if you don't realize it. Alrighty, so I did make a mistake last week that I wanted to thank someone who reached out, and my brain is completely names sometimes. It takes me a while to remember, but somebody reached out that my DMC, the link for this, I had a video that I talked about what these were for the DMC storage, where I got them, all that kind of things, pulled them out, gave dimensions, I think, all that stuff. My link was wrong, and so it was kind of a broken link. So thank you so much. You reached out. You actually gave me the correct link, which I so appreciated. I was just able to copy that and paste it where I was supposed to. So the link on last week's video for this DMC storage is now correct. Thank you so much to the wonderful person that did that for me. I really did appreciate it. And then I did get some questions, and I do periodically get questions when I show the scrapbook pages, especially about, do I have any videos about the scrapbooking? And I do. I think it's 4. I believe it's 4 scrap with me videos. The first 2 talked about supplies. What's really funny is the first one I talked about, I don't know, 3, 4 different types of albums that you could use. And then I didn't use any of those. In video number 2, I show the albums I chose, but there's all sorts of information about other supplies in those videos. So I've got to figure out, I'm sure it's easy. I've never done playlists, but I think that would be probably a good idea, because then I could do a playlist maybe for the scrapbooking, a playlist for the trading cards. I only have 2 Stitch with me's, but I certainly could make a playlist with that and kind of have that easily accessible, so I can just kind of direct you to that. So I'm hoping it's easy. If it's not, next week I'm going to reach out and say, help me please. But I'll play around on the YouTube. We laugh. We'll call things the Google, because we know, I mean, it's just kind of a joke at the point that we do at the Facebook or the Twitter and all that stuff. So it's now going into my regular language, I suppose. But I will try to figure out YouTube and try to get that done. And that'd be nice if I can get that for next week. Then that would be a lot easier for me to direct you. But thank you for asking. And yes, I do have some videos. The other 2 videos, I actually scrap some pages. One just straight stitching, and then the second video, I believe there's 2 videos. I actually combine pictures with my stitching so that we make it almost that much more a true scrapbook. So, and now every time I look at patterns, I'm thinking about, ooh, do I have pictures that can go with it? Or is there something I can connect to my life with it so that I can have this really fun scrapbook in the end? So, and when the scrapbooks are full, I will do flip throughs, I promise. It's just gonna take a while, because these books they're good size, and you can get a lot of projects in them. I haven't done any scrapbooking lately. I've just been concentrating on stitching, but hopefully we'll get some more done. Alrighty, so that's that. And then I did want to, before I show my projects, I was watching Mandy Parker last night. Mandy is a seasoned stitcher and floss tuber. She's been doing it for quite some time, and she is super, super close to, I believe, 700 subscribers. So if you like full coverage stitching for sure, and you haven't checked Mandy out, she's going to be linked down below. I think her channel, if I remember correctly, is just called Mandy Parker, but it'll be linked down below. And then she does some other fantastic stitching of smalls, she likes to do the quirky Quakers and some other fun stuff, and she's just a lot of fun. And she does use both neutrals and colors for fabrics, so you get a chance to see it all, which is a lot of fun, because I always like to see fellow floss tubers that I like to know that I'm not the only one on the island with the crazy fabric colors. But if you haven't checked out Mandy, I would recommend it. And if you want to subscribe, let's get her over that number. And it was a great video, Mandy, yesterday, and I love your full coverage. So close to another full coverage finish. It's amazing. I'm too far away to even think about finishes on those on mine, but I love it. All right, so my stitching, I have 11 projects to show you this week. The only reason I have that many is I did participate in Whip Frenzy this weekend. So I belong to, one of the Facebook groups I belong to is called Whip Warriors. I was totally, it used to be called No New Starts, which I did not participate in. I think you can kind of figure that out considering I'm always starting things. But this past year they changed it and called it Whip Warriors. They still have people that do new starts. Some are doing like 23 and 23 or working your whips and all that. But they have a whole area for the stitch what you want when you want stitchers. That's me. That's me. I use whatever I want, however I want it. So there's lots of other things I can't control in life, but I can control what I'm stitching when I'm stitching it. So anyway, so I joined last December. It is a closed Facebook group and it opens up at the end of every year. And you get a chance to join. And what they actually did in December was they did kind of a few different, 2 or 3 different sample challenges and that you could participate in. And I tried one of them because it is expected that you do participate in some way. If you don't do challenges, then you are expected to create an album and your albums get checked. So you do have to update. So if that's not something you like, you know, obviously that wouldn't be the group for you. I had never done anything like that before, so I decided to try something new for 2023. I love it. I'm really enjoying it. I pick and choose which challenges I do, so I certainly, their participation level is not, for me, I have the stitching time, and if you have problems where you can't participate, you reach out to one of the modmins. They're very, very nice, and they understand that life always comes first. So when it opens up again at the end of this year, I will mention that to you, and I will put the information in the description box. So if it's something you do want to participate in. I had never tried games. I'd never tried that kind of stuff before. So it was just something new for me. Some people try it, don't like it. No problem. I happen to like it. So far I'm enjoying it. But anyway, this weekend was called Whip Frenzy, which basically for a 3-day period, you stitch on between 100 to 200 stitches on as many projects as you can / want, right? So Friday, I didn't get much stitching done. Usually on Fridays with filming and uploading, and everything else, Friday is probably one of my lowest stitching days usually. So I didn't get much accomplished then, but Saturday and Sunday, I was able to get some good stitching in, and I think in the end, I ended up with 10 projects that I used for Whip Frenzy. The only one was my full coverage because I'm using that for their full coverage event, and I don't think you could combine the 2 challenges. 10's fine anyway. So what I tried to do over that time was I would stitch 100 to 200. Well, that was the requirement, wasn't it? I tried to go closer to the 200 than the 100 on the projects. Some of them I went over. I was enjoying it, and I think there was one I had whatever. And then after the weekend, I went back to all the projects and got almost all of them up to my 500 amount. I did hurt my thumb, I don't know, yesterday or the day before. I can't really remember. The days all seem to blend together. The only reason I know Fridays are here is when I'm like, oh, I have to film. Or I get to film. I shouldn't say I have to film. I get to film and I get to interact with everybody. But this is my stitching hand, my left hand, even though I'm a righty. And so it's always a little bit kind of, maybe a little sore. I try to do stretching and all that to kind of keep everything good. But I somehow or other, I awkwardly put my hand down with a good portion of my body weight, and I aggravated my thumb a little bit. So we'll see. I haven't done a lot of stitching since I heard it. Hopefully holding up things will be fine. But there might be more finishing this week if the stitching doesn't really work. But I started that story just to say that some of the projects probably only have about 300 stitches in them because I just didn't get really as much time as I wanted, and we weren't home much of Wednesday. I'll talk about that at the end though. So anyway, let's just get started though. You want to see the stitching. All right, so my first one, last Friday was St. Patrick's Day. It was a no-brainer. I had to stitch on my gnome. Now I am stitching, let's see if it'll pop up. There we go. Took a little while, but I'm stitching on this gnome out of the 3. When you order them, you do get all 3 patterns. I am not stitching that border around the gnome. What I have done is I've taken, in all of my gnomes, I have what, 4, because I have sunflower, this one, winter, and November gnome. I've taken the flosses and I found a really good kind of background color, and I use that and I take away that other background part, and so I'm just stitching the gnome, which is fine because these are big. When you see this fabric size, look at this. This is a big guy. I was hoping I would be past the hat this week because I really tried to put in a good amount of stitching on it, but I'm not. So this is 18 count water nymph, and it's from Bestitchme. It's an opal. I don't know if you can tell that. It's a beautiful fabric. I won this in a Friday night fight night, and I'm usually horrendous. Either I don't get to the fight nights or I'm like, can't find anything because I'm slow compared to everybody else. But I scored this one, and it's beautiful. And I had no idea when I was getting it what I'd stitch on it. Love it. So again, you're seeing all of the different pieces of the hat come aboard. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have one more, I think, of the lighter green section, and then we're gonna get to well, we'll get through the shamrock, and then we're getting to the bottom part of the hat, and then we hit the nose. So it's getting there. I don't know if this week I will do some more stitching on it, kind of to round out March, because we are in the last month. So it blows my mind, but we are. And we'll see. We'll see. You know, I go into the week with very few plans. This, did I say Wonderland, Ukraine? I'm not even sure. It's really kind of, I'm thrown off here because the light is actually pretty good because it is a very cloudy day right now, but it's getting darker and darker because I think we're supposed to get rain for most of the day. So the light's kind of changing on me as we speak here, and so I'm a little bit rattled. Wonderland Ukraine, they have both PDFs, plus they have a lot of other things that they sell out of their Etsy shop. I just traditionally buy the PDFs, and I really enjoy them. I like reading their PDFs. They're easy to read. They're fun. If you don't like gnomes, there's lots of other stuff too. They do have, though, a large series of gnomes for different holidays. And what I like and appreciate, you're talking about maybe 5, 6 colors, but how they blend their colors, I can't wait till I get to the shamrock, clover, whatever you want to call it. I think it's going to be beautiful because I just love how they shade the daisy that I've done. No, sunflower. It's a sunflower. And it's so much fun doing that because you just see, you almost see the petals come alive because of how they match their colors. And it's DMC. So if you're interested, they are linked down below. They have an Etsy shop. Very, very often they have sales. I think right now, as of this morning, I saw, I can tell you if I link to it, they're 25% off their patterns. So this set of 3 gnomes right now would be $675 US. So, but lots of other options. My Shamrock dog came from them, and there's lots of others at some point I might want to get and do. So you might see more of them in the future. All right, does it feel like it? I feel like the darkness is just coming in on me here. All right, next one Winter Quaker from Jardin Prive. I'm getting there. I'm so close. I know it's spring. Don't care. I've actually already finished the spring Quaker, so it's not like I would go to that one. I am super, super close on this one. I might have some car stitching next week, so I probably wouldn't finish it, but car stitching, it's going to be raining, so there's no beach stitching coming up. But monochromatic, I love doing for both beach stitching and car stitching. And this is what it looks like. This is an 18 count sky. It's from Atomic Ranch. And I'll tell you, it might be very creepy and gloomy out there, but the light coming in is fabulous. This is stitched with DMC 823. All 4 have been and will be stitched in the 823 with a variety of bright fabrics. So I have to finish this tree, and then I have a big house here and a medium-sized house here, and I'm done. I think I've even gone back and done all of the little, you know, like the little 4-stitch circly things. So really super, super close to being finished. These will be scrapbooked one season after another. I'm looking forward to doing that. I think it'll be a lot of fun, especially with the bright fabrics but with the underlying theme of the same floss color. I think it'll look pretty when you flip through. So I have no idea. That, I'd say it's a church probably, but that building right there, 500 stitches alone. So if you look, this is a really big house. It's kind of a medium because it's longer. So there's more stitching here than you think there is. Those are good sizes. It's easy. Actually, this would be a good zoom piece, wouldn't it? I could do that too. Maybe I'll do that. It's easy to do, but it's just, there's a good amount on it. So we'll see. I'm not going to say next week for a finish. If I do stitch on it, I could see if we do go to a game next Tuesday, I'll probably bring that car stitching if it's not done. So I think it'll get some work this week. I'm just not sure it'll get enough to get a finish. Now this one I'm working on through the month of March. It is March's Daffodil from Cottage Garden Samplings. I am working on all 12 of these this year, and each month I'm starting a new one. And this is where I've gotten. Now this one did not get the full amount of stitching in it that I was hoping, but it's coming along. So this is done on an 18 count Lilac Mist from Hand Dyed by Rolanda. And I did another one of the flowers. I did it concentrated on the words, and I don't really remember what else I might have done. There's 2 different colors of floss. What's interesting is the main color that you're seeing is actually a brown. It's 430. Which one is it? 433. 433. But on this purple, if you look at it from a distance, it almost looks to my eye as a deep maroon. So it's kind of cool. Again, depending on what fabrics you stitch on, sometimes those colors flosses look a little bit different. Here you'll see it was stitched on a neutral, but a neutral that the white still showed up enough, because that is one thing you'd want to think about with this one. There's one large white flower and a small one, and then a couple really small. So there is some white stitching here. And that's the one thing when you're picking your neutrals that you want to make sure you can see. Because the flowers, this whole, it's my garden journal series is what this is. And I just happened to be looking on 1, 2, 3 Stitch this week. Didn't make an order, but I do have my wish list going. And I do have all 12, but all 12 are on there. So if you were looking for one of the months, as of right now, I saw all 12. I can't guarantee it would stay that way, but they are all on there. So I'll probably want to give this a little bit of time this coming week because then it'll get put away. This year is pretty much get them started, get them going. If I was a monogamous stitcher, I could certainly get them done within a month. It wouldn't be a problem. And you know, if you want to do them a couple months ahead of time so that if you wanted them for display, for example, you could easily probably get them done. Well, obviously it depends on your life and how busy it is. I shouldn't say you could easily because everybody's stitching time is very different, right? But if monogamous with your stitching, they are small enough that they're doable. And they're somewhat repetitive with the borders and the words, but not so repetitive that I think it'll get boring. We'll see. Ask me at the end of the year. I'm finding that while I love these year-long stitches, if they're enough alike, I start to get tired of doing them. So, which is why I haven't finished the Little House Cottages of the month yet. But so far, so good. I think maybe because I'm starting them, but not trying to get them finished for this year, that may help. And so I won't be quite as burnt out on them by the time I get to the end of the year. Now, this other one, because it was St. Patrick's Day, I had to stitch on this one as well. And this is Ireland. And this is charted by Vlada Xstitch. Now, they have an Etsy shop, and that's where I've bought all their stuff. But right here, this is VladaXstitch.com. I will link them down below. And it's their own website. So they still do have the Etsy, but now they have their own website as well. So if you wanted to just support them there and not have Etsy take a cut of their profits, you could do that as well. Now, in order to find this one, they have they have all the states, they have a ton of countries, plus they have other stuff as well. So I ended up doing a search, and I searched Ireland. For my Northern Ireland friends, their Northern Ireland piece is beautiful. It really is quite pretty. And then there's a bundle, a UK bundle. So Ireland would not be in there. Northern Ireland would be in there, England, Scotland, and Wales. And all of them are quite beautiful. So, you know, those or any other country, the States, I've done Delaware. I really enjoyed it. I am not stitching the word Ireland on there. I am just stitching the actual country. And I spoke about this last week about I'm going to do several floss tosses and find 3 green colors and see which one I like the best on my fabric. This is the fabric. This is an 18 count champagne by hand dyed Rolanda. It's, you know, very light yellow, which I thought would be fun to play off the colors of this piece. So I'm still in blues, but I introduced a third blue. So I was super excited. I had to get that third blue in. I said, I don't think you could tell because the shades are quite similar, but I was bound and determined to get that third blue. I am going to be stitching a lot of white right now because there's going to be clouds coming into it as well. And then once I get to that, past that, then we hit the greens and I have to do some finagling. So this will just come out when I feel like it, especially if I want some block stitching, because it is nice in that sense that you have nice swaths of a certain color. And so you can just kind of, you do have to pay attention. I remember in Delaware, because at one point by the water there, they had all kind of the, I don't know if it was the kind of the grasses coming up or what it was exactly, but there was a lot of paying attention at the bottom. The top was super easy. So, you know, obviously they're not all no-brainers, but they do take a they can be a combination. Parts of them can be, I just want to stitch and stitch blocks, and then parts of them you're kind of changing around. But I will link the website down below. Like I said, they have some beautiful pieces. They have different bundles. Oh, here comes the rain. I don't know if you'll hear it. They have, for example, if I'm just looking, they have butterfly bundles. They do the butterflies half flower, half butterfly, so that's kind of cool. They have all sorts of different types of items as well. So fun to even just flip through if you just wanted to see something different. So I will do a link there below. And again, I'm not sure when you'll see this again. You'll see it when you see it, I guess. I have one more to use the iPad for, and then everything else will be paper patterns. This one right here is my full coverage. I spent most of the week working on this one. This is Beach Girl in Red Dress is what I'm calling it. It's from Simple Wave Studio. They are on Etsy. I can link them down below. They have a different series of women on the beach, and I absolutely love all of them. So I feel like these are a little bit more doable as far as full coverage. They're, and I think I said this last week, but this one, for example, is 150 by 188. So you'd obviously have to, look at the stitch count size. But if you were intrigued by full coverage and you wanted to try one, this could be a potential. There are other places. Vlada Xstitch has some fun full coverage ones as well that are the circle ones that you put in the hoop, and lots of other places as well. But if you wanted something, these have, the beach ones are more realistic like looking, and I'm really enjoying them. So I started her hair. There's a lot of browns out there. I was at the hairdresser. This was years and years and years ago. This is way back. This is probably, I don't think Connor was even born. And Connor's going to be 20 this year. So it was before that, because I'm thinking about where we lived and what hairdresser it was. And she was like, oh, I think I'd describe your hair as mud color. I'm like, mud color? Really? That's the best you could do? Because, okay, it's really gray now and lighter, but it was browns. So that makes me think of this one. But she's got all the different browns. So that's a lot of different colors. Worked on confetti, and then I did some more of the other pieces. I am going to get to so this is it. This is as wide as it's going to be. And think about my 3-inch margin. Over here is all kind of cloudy sky. It's all one color. That's going to be very fast, not fast, but good stitching for if I was zooming. And then down here we'll come down with a lot more confetti again. But so far I have enjoyed this stitch. This was a new person for me to try. 18 count white aida, 2 strands over 1 full cross. That is how I do my full coverage. Honestly, that's pretty much how I do all my stitching. I do like 2 strand for 18 count. I know I get asked that a lot. If you like the lighter look, I know lots of people prefer 1 strand on 18 count. Just kind of do a test and see what you like. And maybe different patterns, you'd want different things. I like the fuller look myself. I don't care if my stitches are perfect, because generally people aren't going to be looking at them. They're not going in any type of fair or anything like that. So I just do this for the enjoyment. I don't really care if they're a little wonky. So 2 strands works for me. But you do what works for you. That's where we are. So this one will go away at this point. But I really do enjoy it. And I like the smaller size. Sometimes the bigger ones, I'm corralling the fabric. I stitch everything in hand, even my full coverages, even the giant ones. Just so far that seems to work for me, and so I'm just going to keep going with it. But sometimes these smaller ones are kind of nice because it's kind of like doing a regular cross stitch sized, even though it's a full coverage piece, that it's a little bit easier for me to handle. So, you know, we'll see. You might see that one a little bit more often. I did start a new full coverage, but I only stitched really 1 day on it, so there's really not much to see. I will probably give it all of next week. That'll be the last one I do for the Whip Warriors full coverage event. That will mean I'll have done 4 over the course of the month, giving each of them 1,000 stitches. So I think that'll work quite well. And then that's it. I'm done with that event. I don't necessarily worry about getting the most, although I did win 1 event in February. So I've satisfied that itch. I don't need to worry about that anymore. I'm not a super competitive person, but once in a while I like to, you know, try. But it's not like I have to win at all costs. That's not me. All right, I have a finish. This is what the original looks like. And this is a little cottage from Hands On Design. I did not, you'll see this here, I did not stitch the sign fully in white. The sand dollar, I thought about it, I thought of the name 2 days later. Like, why I couldn't think of that during the video. And then the flags on top here are back stitched. I chose to put X's in and make them almost like a flag pole. So those are the only 2 changes I did. Otherwise, well, and I changed the fabric, but otherwise, that's what you're seeing right here. And you know what? I did add an extra stitch in, I think it was the Y by the C. I would have changed the B, I think, a little bit too, but I had already, everything was in. The letters were, it was hard to see what the word was. So I think I added a stitch, an extra stitch in somehow or other. This is an 18 count purple haze from To Die For Fabrics. And the other colors, I believe, are all the DMC alternative called for. This house, you had 2 choices of DMCs depending on which one you wanted to do. I just grabbed whatever I had. Super cute. This will go in the scrapbook. So I enjoyed that. It was fun. I haven't done a lot of hands-on design, although they are quite cute designs. So I'm sure I'll do more. I know I have more. In fact, I'm going to be showing you one, I think, as a possible April start. Alrighty. Next. I really enjoy this one. This is good. I brought this actually on Tuesday. Well, I did it over the weekend, right, for my Whip Frenzy. But then Wednesday, when we went up to Meg's game, I didn't stitch on it in the car, but when we got to the game, we were there early because we did some other stuff. And so I brought this out while they were doing warm-ups, and I was stitching on it as well. So I got a couple of times this week. I almost got this done. This is 18 count light Seaglass from To Die For Fabrics. And I really, really wanted to get this flower done. And the flower itself is done, but I almost have, I have, where is it? I have a row of 4 more leaves in the second green color right here. And I think that's it. I think that's all oh no, and then I have 2 more down here. So I have 6 more leaves to do with that color. And then that flower is done. This is gonna be so cool to stitch. I can't wait on that. And then up here, I'm going to take a sparkly thread and I'm gonna mix it with whatever the called for is so that there's a little combination of sparkle. I did try it. I started stitching with the DMC alternative. Actually, the DMC. Wait, no. No. Most of it is charted in DMC. These 2 pieces are charted in a overdyed floss. And I used the DMC alternative for that. And it just looked a little flat. I thought it could use maybe a little bit of sparkle. I just have to decide what to go with that. That'll be easy stitching though. I mean, those are just 1 color, big blocks. Not a problem there. So this is a lot of fun. This is part of their A Time for All Seasons series. And it was number 5 in that series. So this one is good for Zoom calls because there are blocks of color. It's good for, oh, here it is. I was like, where's the stuff to put it back in? It's good for times when I don't have to do a lot of counting. Now, when I get to here, we'll see. That could be a whole nother story. Although they are kind of blocks again, so it should be all right. Next one, I am trying for a finish on this one. The season is over, but I think I will continue, but maybe not every week. This is Carolyn's Balloons Winter from Jan Hicks Designs. I'm still waiting. I did pre-order the spring, but I'm still waiting on it, which is fine because I think after this one, because I did autumn and then I immediately went into this one, I think I might take a little bit of a break. It's super cute. I like the spring, and obviously summer will be coming out at some point, but I'm kind of ballooned out. I mean, it's the same general concept, the balloons with kind of cool designs and then the village at the bottom, which is super cute. I love the idea, and I'll stitch them all, but I think I'll take a break after this one. Now mine is done, it looks a little bit different because mine is done on a hand-dyed fabric that's a little bit brighter. So you can see here, the model is stitched on more of a gray. I wanted kind of like a blue wintry sky. So that's what I did with this. This is 18 count Lady of the Lake by Fabrics by Stephanie. And the only balloon I have to finish is this one. I just didn't have the mental capacity this week. You have to do lots of counting in this one. Now, this is only one color, so I won't have to change, unlike here. But I just didn't have the capacity this week to do that. And so I said, excuse me, that can wait. I'll work on down here. So we did the sign, and then we started the little village. I think it's going to be super cute because the white really shows up nicely on this. I think it's a fantastic fabric if you're stitching lots of white. It really does pop. And so there's snow underneath the village. There's snow on some of the roofs, and I think it's going to look super cute. The one thing I'm not doing is Jen has a lot of stray one stitch snowflakes just floating around. I did not do that. I chose not to, which meant I did move. I kept the designs the same, but I did move a few of them. And I might add, she has some that are the 4-stitch. I've mentioned this. I might add some more of those in instead. So that's that. Super cute. I really do like the idea, the concept, the designs, that spring is cool looking. I have obviously seen it since I pre-ordered it. And I think I'll do a floss toss, but I believe what I will do is I will stitch spring on the fabric that I chose for autumn, which would mean summer would go back on this one. Colors going well. Obviously, I'll have to do floss tosses, so we'll see how that goes. All right, so I did do, I was like, where's the page going? I did do some of my Black Vintage Sampler this weekend. It was an easy one to do over the weekend for the Whip Frenzy, and this one needs work, right? It's huge. This is a 191 by 353. This is going to take me forever. This was my New Year, New Start. I'm not 100% sure that it will get done in the course of this year, but I'm plugging away, and it's an awesome zoom stitch. So I do have to say that I do like, when I'm doing zooms, I do like stitching on it. And I don't know, I didn't fold this right, so I'm just gonna, you know what? I'm just gonna hold it like this for the moment and show you this. Don't you love this fabric? Every time I see this fabric, I just love it more and more. It's an 18 count Rainy Day by Bestitchme, and she knocked it out of the park with this one. It is blue, but there's just, I don't even know, I don't think there's gray in there, but there's just a hint that reminds me of gray. It's just gorgeous. This is the end over here, so that is the 191, but clearly I have a long way to go with the 353. I don't even think I'm halfway. No, I'm not even halfway down here yet. So I clearly have quite a bit to do. We almost have the balloon finished. And then that's it. Then it's border until I get down to the woman here with the umbrella. And then there's more. And I did a bit more of the house, so we have some more of that. I'm going back and forth. The house is quite, you know what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do, because my arms are getting tired, I'm going to do a tighter fold. Now, I know that there have been other people who have stitched this one. The one I know for sure that I've been enjoying watching is Mary's Stitching Corner. Mary started this for her. I think it was a birthday start last year for her. And so she is further than me, and it's beautiful. I'll link Mary below if you wanted to watch her. But there you go. That house is big. So I've been stitching house, then I'll stitch something else, then go back and forth. And I have to be careful over here because I have been making a few mistakes when it comes to the windows. So we're getting there though. Super fun, and I really do enjoy it as a zoom stitch. Notwithstanding the house problems. I might not do the house during Zoom, but there's plenty of, I love all the little pieces. So, you know, like many say, when you have a lot of motifs, it's like little starts and stops, starts and finishes, I should say. So it kind of makes you feel good. You're like, ooh, I got another piece done, and we're that much closer. So that's my version of samplers that I do. I think traditional samplers are beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and I love watching others stitch them. I just not sure you will see a traditional sampler from me, but never say never, because you know, I didn't think I'd ever do full coverages, and now I have like 10 of them or more going, so you know. This one is Midnight Watch, and it has an alphabet, but I'm not stitching the alphabet. I'm stitching this with Sarah Stitches, and Sarah's is beautiful. I'll link her down below. And we are both just stitching this. What caught my eye was the cat in the moon. That was, every time I looked at this, well, I was thinking about it, and then when I had it and I was debating on whether to start it, that was what caught my eye every single time. I just absolutely loved that part of the piece. So originally what I thought I would do is I would stitch that part. I wouldn't stitch this, and I would rechart, you know, this part and put the border here. But then, you know, Sarah was talking about how she didn't think she'd be doing the border. And then I wondered, I said, given what I wanted to do with it, did I need the border? And I decided that I didn't. And then I went with a little bit more wilder fabric. Now the moon here is done on an over-dyed floss, but Blackbird Designs did give a DMC alternative that meant combining 2 shades of DMC. And I actually like it, especially on my fabric, because it's, one's a shade of brighter yellow and one is, you know, more of a brownish or whatever. And so mine is much brighter than what you'll see on the sample. And part of that is, I think, the fabric. Part of it is that I did the DMC. And that's what it looks like. This is an 18 count Bewitched from To Die For Fabrics. And I use this one this week. This is what I use for zoom stitching, because I have all house. So I'm almost done with the first row, and then I have window, door, window. Great zoom stitching because it's just big blocks, and then the house itself to be finished. At that point, then I have all of this to finish. And then I'm not 100% sure. On this side of the house, there are 3 kind of primitive looking stars, similar to what's in the roof. I don't know. I'm going to do everything else but that and decide at the end if it's needed or if it's just extra. I am a kind of minimalist in a lot of ways. So when I look at patterns, there are times where there's parts of it I adore, and that's what got my attention, but I don't necessarily always stitch everything. Lots of times I do, don't get me wrong. I mean, I will stitch every stitch on that black vintage sampler that is showing, but there are other ones that what brought me to them was something specific, and that's what I want to concentrate on. And in this case, it was here, and then this kind of goes with it. I mean, you could probably, you just have to finish the moon. That would be an adorable ornament, like a round ornament, maybe in a hoop. Super cute. Or you could finish it as a round. But lots of different things you could do with that. I pulled it out because I thought it'd be fun for the weekend to get some work on it. Plus, where I am right now, it is good for zoom stitching. So. And you know, I'm sure everybody that's on the Zooms probably gets tired of seeing my black vintage sampler, because that seems to be the only one I stitch on half the time. And then my very last piece to show you is Prairie Schooler Santa. I believe it's 1991. It's this one here. So these 3 are now complete. This, it's just the paper. It's not the cardstock. It's a little beat up, but I think at some point I might pass it on, because I don't see stitching these again. So in the future, as we get closer and you haven't stitched these, be on the lookout. This might be a giveaway. But let me show you. He's done. He's done on an 18 count jade from Picture This Plus. I did change the color of his face. All of the Prairie Schooler Santa faces I do change because they have a tendency to be a bit mauvish for me. This one is different than the other 2. So the other 2 Santas, they did get the same color change, but this guy, the trim, between the trim on his hat there and then the beard, I had to be a little bit more creative in the color that I used, because it kind of blended in. So if you wanted to know, I can look that up. I do have it written down. And then what else didn't I do? I just didn't do, there's some back stitching coming out of here. I didn't feel like it added anything to it, so I chose not to do that as well. But otherwise, this is completely done. So this one will be finished as an ornament, like all of my other Prairie Schoolers. I only have one Prairie Schooler ornament done that went on the tree last year. So I will have some Prairie Schooler finishing to do. And I think of the ones done on jade, they will get finished the same way. And then they'll be spread out among the tree. Any more doing that I do, excuse me, going forward will most likely maybe be on something else just to kind of change it up a little bit. And that's my stitching for the week. Woo! Lots of stitching. We'll see this week. You may not see coming up next week. You may not see as much stitching. I'm just kind of massaging the area as we talk, so hopefully that's not distracting. I'm not even realizing it at times, and then I'll start to notice. I'm like, oh, I guess that's what I'm doing. But it feels good doing this, so I'm just doing it to kind of see if I can make it feel better. So what do I have coming up for plans? Obviously, my April stitching is going to have to be started in, well, it'll be starting in another week, but I need to find fabrics. I will be doing the Cottage Gardens April's Daisy. And I thought I was going to go kind of a little wild with this one and go with a deep pink from Grace Notes. But I don't think so. I think I'm going to go with something like a honeydew melon instead. I'm going to go with a lighter green. The more I put the flosses on there, I wasn't loving it. The one thing is there is a lot of white, which would have popped quite nicely. So I do have to be careful how light a green I go. Friendship Green from Fabrics by Stephanie, an 18 count, I think would be a little too light. And I don't think the whites would show up. And since there are the little white bunnies, there's a little white egg, plus all the flowers. If it doesn't show up, I think I'd be a little bit unhappy. So I do have to do some floss tossing this week on that. The other one that I had thought of when I did my yearly planning, I've always liked this one, and I just hadn't done it. It was part of a collaboration. This one was the hands-on design version. There were a set of 3 of them. One was Summer House Stitchworks, the other one was Ink Circles, and it's the Mid-Century Gardens. So this was number 2. I don't know what fabric I would do this one on. This one actually, this one might look good on Friendship Green. Actually thinking about it. There's only 3 colors to this. They only give a week's dye work, so I'll have to do my own. And I don't know, maybe all 3 of them, I bet you all 3 of them, looking at it, are done in the same 3 colors. So if you chose to use the overdyes, you did all 3, you'd be fine. I think what I'll do is I'll look at what the DMC alternative is, because there's charts all over the place. I'll decide if that's what I like, or I might just choose my own using my DMC book. And I am, at the moment, I had a $10 Michaels voucher. So I am all set right now. I do have every DMC at one of them. So we're good. So I can do kind of playing around with that. So those were the 2 that I had chosen at the end of last year for April. And then there's a few more that I went through my charts to kind of say, what else could I possibly want? This one, oh, look at this. I said I hadn't done any other hands-on design. That one's a hands-on design. And then this was the one I was thinking of, the Resting Beach Face. So cute. And I could see doing, what's the Bestitchme fabric I used that I did the Thankful Sunflower one on? That's a nice bright blue. Plus, I think I have more of the Atomic Ranch Sky. Either one of those would be great. I will do it on something like that bright blue. I think that looks fantastic. So that's an option. I haven't done any from the Heart Needle Art by Wendy, but I do have several of these little small Quakers. And I really enjoy the Quaker designs. This one's called Quaker Blooms. The colors are just so pretty. And that would be fun for spring. So that's an option. And then this one's beautiful. This is Hello from Liz Matthews, For a Friend. the colors she's got here, she gives DMCs and NPIs as choices, are just so beautiful. And I might actually do a neutral on this one for fabric. I might not go crazy colored fabric. Either a neutral or a very, very light blue, I think would be pretty. So we'll see. You know I have a lot of blues, so I certainly have the options there. And then I am doing, I pulled all the flosses. This is why I took the trip to Michael's. And so I do have to find fabrics for these. This one is the Winter Sampler from Crocetta Go-Go. I'm not going to take it out of the chart. I think I might start this one in September. So this one is kind of my version of a sampler. And I think I would actually stitch the whole thing. It's big. The stitch size doesn't show me there. It just shows the centimeters. And I'm not good at doing centimeter conversion. So I pulled those. I have to figure out, now that I have the flosses, what color fabric I want for that. And then, of course, everybody and their uncle will be stitching this one. This one, though, I do want to start probably early summer. This one is 267 by 216. I'll do it, of course, on an 18 count, which will make it about 15 by 12 before you add any borders. I'm thinking maybe a light blue, because any of the white stitching is surrounded by other things. And I thought that might be pretty as a background foil to all these other colors. Like I said, I pulled the flosses, so I will figure that out. So I have a lot of fabric choosing to do. If you are stitching either one of these, let me know. I'd love to see what you choose for fabrics. And if you want to join me either at any time, like I said, early summer, I hope on this one. So this could be like a summer stitch. And then in September for this one, come and join me. That'd be fun. So those are the plans, very loose plans, and just a lot of kind of fabric choosing. I have fabric I have to wrap around the boards too. So I have a little bit of organizational work to do with my fabrics, especially if I want to make sure I know what I have, right? All right, so Happy Mail. I got this lovely, lovely, unexpected package from Kathleen. And I wanted to show you, first off, look at the beautiful card that she sent. I love that. The purples and the yellows are gorgeous next to each other. And look at the 3 shades of purple. See, like if you were going to do something and you wanted to change it, match those shades up to the DMC card and you'd have a beautiful, beautiful color combo. She was cleaning out her craft room, I should say, and she thought of me because she was getting rid of this, and so she sent it to me. This is Cross Stitch by the Sea, and it's an Ursula Michaels. Isn't it beautiful? And I just wanted to show you this front cover as a whole. Look at how beautiful this is. That is gorgeous. I love that. So they have some really cute, cute things in here. I was thinking maybe at some point, I have this book, and then I have another book that I bought. I bought it when I was just getting back into cross stitching, and it's all full coverages. And I kind of got completely overwhelmed over that. And so it's sat since then. So maybe I'll do a flip through at some point of those 2 books. And they're very different. This obviously is all nautical, some of which is full coverage, a lot of different small pieces as well. And then that other one is one designer, but it's all just different designs, full coverage. So that might be fun. I haven't done a Flosstube extra in a while, so maybe something like that. At one point I want to do a Stitch with Me. I'm not sure what to talk about, to be honest with you. I like when I have the lists or something to talk about, because then I have something to say. Rather than totally rambling. All right, so that was my Happy Mail. And then I have a little bit of shopping, not too much. I did get my fabric of the month from Grace Notes Fabrics. We'll see. This is one of those where the lighting really needs to be just so in order to see it. So we'll see if it shows up. I'm not going to show you, I'm not going to say the name out loud. In person, I can tell why they named it. I'm not sure you're going to be able to on the camera, but I don't want to give it away. And this is 18 count. So remember, different counts, I betcha it will show up differently. This one is a very subtle. There's two different basic color combinations, and it's quite subtle here. I'm in the colors, not the neutrals from Grace Notes. So just keep all that in mind. So look away if you do not want to see or be spoiled. So I'm going to show you the name first. So if we come on up, that's what it's called. And then I'm going to open it up, so still look away if you don't want to see. And with this lighting, this actually might be some good lighting to show, but there are two variations, and in person I can see why they named it that. So this is fun. This I think would be quite versatile. I'll have to look and see what I could stitch with it, but I think you could come up with some good things. It's down if you want to look back. So that's fun. Something a little different. And then this was a market well, it was available for pre-order, but very few people had it, and I wasn't able to get it when I did do my pre-order. And then I thought about getting it, but except for the summer Quaker from Lila Studios, I haven't really done any other post-market shopping. And then she had it available from her website as a digital, so I just went with that. Erin Elizabeth Designs, I think she's taking market by storm, as she has some adorable tiered trays. I know she has, I'm pretty sure she has an Easter one, but she has a bee one. If you don't follow her on Instagram, Erin Elizabeth Designs, she's super cute, and she's just done, if you're into the bees, she's done a whole bunch of bee themed items. So this is the nautical tier. This is my third nautical tier. I have to start stitching some of these. I have the Madame Chantilly. And if you want to see that one, Georgia Girl Stitching is stitching that, and she always picks fantastic fabric. So it's a lot of fun to see her stitching that. And then I have Twin Peak Primitives. I have a kind of nautical tier that I started and then completely messed up the counting. So I ended up just taking that one little piece I'd stitched and I made a trading card out of it. And so I think over the summer, my idea was to get that started. So maybe I'll switch up which one I start, but this is super cute. I had to have it, and so I just bought the digital. I think this week she had said it was available. Now, she, for a long time, and I think I still got this on the Shannon Christine site, her items were on the Shannon Christine Designs website. I'm not sure if she has her own or a combination, if she's still selling on Shannon Christine. Like I said, that's where I got it. And if you go to Shannon Christine, I think there are links for shopping to, for example, Erin's Designs, it says, or something like that. So it distinguishes between Shannon Christine and these. So that's it. That's the shopping. So again, I'm not sure when I'll start this, but it is super cute, even more so in color. But this is, I print everything off in black and white. And a lot of times if I get a digital and I print it right away, because I don't always print everything right away, you know I'm serious that I might get it started. So we'll see on that one. All right, so that's the shopping. I think I have, well, Bestitchme at some point, I think this week was going to get, I haven't gotten a shipping notice yet, the fabric of the month out. And then I want to say that there is an Under the Sea fabric coming out for fabric of the month. So, or is that the April one? She showed a picture of what's coming, and that might be the April. She might have already dyed the sample colors. I'm not sure. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I know I'll have Bestitchme coming at some point. I don't know if I'll have it by next Friday or if it'll be after that. All right, so giveaways. We have some business to do here. I have, the Blue Bowl is full with all sorts of things this time around. So we're going to do a few different things here. So a few videos ago, I had talked about this Scattered Seed Samplers, and it's Schoolwork Exemplary. I can't say that. What did I say? There was something I was trying to say to Mo last night, and I just, the end part of the word, I just couldn't get the syllables to work. Finally, I did, and now I can't even remember what the word is. But anyway, my winner on this, it's been 2 weeks, and sadly, I did not hear, so I'm going to pick a new winner on that. So let's first do that. The names are no longer in the Blue Bowl. They're just in little bags, so I'm just going to look away. So there's no cheating. And my new winner for that, let me grab one of the pieces, is Pam Miller. So congratulations, Pam. If you could get back to me, I will send this out to you. So I'm going to put your name in here so it doesn't get lost. And as always, please 2 weeks, and that way we can get it out to you. Okay, next. Now this was kind of funny. The winner I chose last week for April's, what's it called? April's Daisy is so funny because she emailed me and she said, what are the odds I'd win? And she's like, that's what I thought when I ordered it. So she ended up ordering this because she figured, what are the odds that I'm actually going to win? And then she won it. So she's very graciously asked me to pass this on to somebody else who was looking for it. So we're going to pick a new winner from this one. So I have the names here for that. So let me do that. Now, generally, when I do giveaways, people have won more than once. I'm sure even more than twice. For those of you who followed me for a long time. So you can certainly put your name in if you've won before. That I always. Today, though, if I have any repeats, because it's just so on top of each other, I will pick a second name for one of these. But if you win twice in this set of 3, go buy a lottery ticket, because obviously it's your lucky day. All right, so let me pick. I have a whole clump here. Let me pick one of these names. It's easier picking out of the blue bowl. All right, so who's my new winner in this? My new winner is Laura Greenwood. Congratulations, Laura. If you could get back to me, I will send this out to you. So let's put your name in here. I love when things are in plastic because then I can just stick the name right in and we're not losing it. And I will put this with the other one. Well, I wait to hear. And then this week's. So because I'm picking 3 winners, I am not going to do a giveaway for next week. I want to get these 3 out first before I start getting too overwhelmed. But I figure there's 3, right? So, and this one, so many of you are interested in this. It's Luminous Fiber Arts Gathering Clover. Full disclosure, it does have a little bit of a dent here. I do want to make sure you realize that. So that's what it looks like. So cute. I love this one. Love, love, love this one. What is she stitched? She had used CC Belsois, is that how you say it? But she does give 2 different DMC alternatives, or you could easily choose your own floss for that. It's all one, so it's a great one if you want to practice kind of changing things up a little bit. All right, so my winner here, so much nicer in the blue bowl. I can mix the names around easier. All right, who's my winner? Let's take them all apart. There we go. And who is it? Christiane Bramble. Christiane. I hope I said that right. It's beautiful. What a lovely name. Congratulations. You have won. And I apologize if I didn't say it right. Please get back to me with your address and I will send this out to you. And I will put this in, it's not in plastic as is, but I will wrap it in something just to keep it safe on its travels to you. I never want the packages to, if they ever got wet, I don't want your stuff to be ruined. So I do my very best to make sure that they stay safe. Okay, so that's it for the giveaways this week. Next week we'll do a new one. Hopefully I'll have these all claimed and out, and we can go from there. So that's it. That's the stitching part. And if you are heading off, have a fantastic week coming up, and I will talk to you later. All right, life stuff. Let's talk a little life. Hopefully you're getting some good stitching in. Rachel, are you stitching on your Amid Amish life? I love it. She says a lot of times when she doesn't have time, she uses my nice long videos to do her catch up on that one. And it's beautiful. Rachel Q Stitches. If you aren't watching her, I would absolutely suggest you give her a watch because she has some beautiful, beautiful projects. All right. Now, last Friday, my cake came out really, really, really good. So I guess measuring the amounts really did work. I did buy new baking soda too, which I guess if your baking soda is old, can cause your baking to be off. The other thing I think, and I never realized this, so I did it in a springform pan, which they recommended. And my springform pan is very dark, 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 dark metal. And she did say in the notes, if your pan, whatever you used, was dark, to cut the cooking time by 5 minutes. Well, the first time, it's normally called for 45, and I did it for 40, and it was done, but it was overcooked, I think, still. So I cooked it this time, the second time, for 35 minutes. And I think that was part of the big, because it was done at 35. And so that was 10 minutes difference for the cooking time. I didn't realize that dark pans could make such a big difference. So note for anybody else who's not a big baker, like I'm not a big baker. I'm just not very good at it. And maybe that's because I don't realize these things and I'm overcooking things. I don't know. But the dark colored pans apparently will cook things a lot faster. And the cream cheese frosting came out really good and everybody really liked it. We had a wonderful time at Mo's cousin's house and it was just nice. It was just a nice time. So that was a lovely evening, but that was the other thing that meant that I didn't get much stitching done on Friday because, you know, we went, she was basically having dinner, right? I didn't eat the corned beef, of course. And she's so funny. She's always like, I get so worried about, and I'm pretty, I can find something. I mean, unless you've like purposely cooked everything with butter, cheese, and meat. But for the most part, I can usually find something. And I'm very easygoing. I don't expect somebody to go totally out of their way. I go with the flow when it comes with that. And she was funny. She's like, I know you don't worry about it because I don't. But there's vegetables. There's vegetables. So I was fine. And then I had some dessert because I had made it. So I was able to have a little piece of cake. And that's it. I said to Mo, we're done. We are deserted out because we had to, you know, I didn't want to throw out that other cake all week. We were kind of eating it even though it was a little dry. So I was like, that's done. I am sugared out. And to be honest, this week has been pretty much no sugar because I was like, I can't look at sugar anymore. So anyway, if you have a sweet tooth, my house is not the one to come to. You're not going to find much sweet here. And Mo and I have very different ideas of sweet. So ooh, that's too sweet is he's like, that's not sweet at all. So really, if you're going by me, you're not going to find any sweet. But so that was really nice. Cake came out well. I was able to, I think we came home with one piece that we were able to split or something. And that was it. Luckily, you know, beyond some people eating it, I was like, please take some. And, you know, some people did. So that was good. So we didn't have much coming back home. Other than that, I got to IKEA this week. So Wednesday was Megan had a game and she had a home game. And so we figured, oh, let's go up. So Mo took a half day of work and we headed up at lunchtime. IKEA is 15 minutes from Bryn Mawr. I mean, I can find an IKEA there. I can find a Target there. I can find Whole Foods. We have nothing like that down here. You can find all the outlets you want down here. And I've got the beach, but I can't even find a Target down here. Anyway, but Marshalls and Home Goods, now they're adding a TJ Maxx. I'm like, it's the same company. Can't we get Targeted instead? But I digress. So anyway, so we went up early on Wednesday at lunchtime and we went to IKEA, which was fantastic. There was like nobody there. I mean, you could walk through the entire store, and we did. I like to do the start to finish of the entire store because sometimes things jump out at me. And I just think it's so cool, like the different vignettes of the different rooms. And we saw a couple places they probably do it that time of the week, you know, they were making rooms. And what a job. Kind of fun, huh? You decorate little rooms and so on and so forth. But anyway, so we did that and I was able to get the 2 containers that I wanted to finish up some of the organizational things. So Mo is going to do some putting together of that. And then 2 other small things we found that should be easy for him to put together. My stuff's going to be the hardest because it's got the drawers, the Alex drawers. One is the 9 drawer and one is a 6 drawer on the casters. So I'm looking forward to having those. And then I have to make some decisions. I'm looking at some of the stuff here. I have to make some decisions of stuff that's just kind of piled, where that's going to go. I have here 2 kind of piles of stuff that I need to figure it out. once that's done, and then he can get the shelves up that I want him to do, because we got some floating shelves last year, but until I had all the furniture, I didn't want to figure out where I was going to put those. So some of the items that I do frame or finish just on boards or whatever, I will be able to put on those shelves. And then we can do a kind of walkthrough of my craft room. See, that will get me, in order to want to do that, that will get me to have to clean up everything. Because what you see looks neat. There's all sorts of other stuff that's not quite so neat. So that hopefully will be in the future. So yeah, so that was a lot of fun. We did that. We have a couple things we're still looking for, like little small table things that there was nothing there that really fit the bill. So I'm still on the lookout for that. And lamps. I was apparently IKEA. They're not big lamp people. I have a couple of small tables in the living room that I really do need like a small lamp on. And I'm having a lot of trouble finding just the right thing. So I'm still looking for that. But we're slowly getting there. Somebody did ask if my porch is done. And yes, it is all done. And I love it. We actually had, so I live in a development. And all of these houses were built within the, well, some of the older houses are probably 8 to 10 years old. But the development was just finished building probably a year ago. And my house was built in the end, it was fully built in the end of 2020. But being in a development, between us on the sides, we have neighbors, close enough by. It's, think of your traditional suburb, right? But they're far enough away. It's behind us. The design that the people behind us built, the house was not as wide, but longer front to back. So the back of their house and the back of our house with our porch is fairly, we don't have a lot of space between the houses. So what we did was at the back of the porch, now that we have it windowed in, we put shades. And so those were installed yesterday. They're really pretty. They're just light shades that let the light in, but they give privacy when, either daytime or nighttime. And so that was like the last finishing piece of that. So super excited. If I do a stitch with me, that would be a fun place to do it. I did Zoom with a friend in the porch, and she noticed right away. She's like, "You're in the porch." I said, "Yes, I am." So now that we have the shades, and Mo's going to put the lights back up, so maybe I can even do like one of the night Zooms up there, because the lights are pretty good. So if it's a comfortable evening, maybe you'll see me Zooming from the porch. So super excited with that. I am so glad that that is done. And the shades are beautiful, really nice. This wasn't a company we'd heard about before, but they got fantastic reviews on Google, and I can see why. Mo said to me, "We've got to give them a 5-star," and I said yes. They were responsive. The work is impeccable that they did putting these shades in, and their prices were quite reasonable, which, window treatments can be expensive. So I was a little worried, when we got the quote, but it was completely nowhere like out of the realm. I really wish we had known about them. When we built the house, you could use a specific company so that the shades or blinds or whatever you chose on the windows would be done when the house was built. And, in certain areas, we kind of wanted it. So we went with them. Knowing what we know now, I much would have rather go with this company, but it is the way it is, right? So, but yeah, so that's all finished and done. Super exciting there. And then on Wednesday after IKEA, Megan had a lacrosse game. So if you follow me on Instagram, which I know it's hard to find on Paper Laura on Instagram, because I started that way before I was stitching again. So, and I just keep everything the same. And I'm awful at Instagram. I'll do stories more often than I do posts at this point. I should just do more, but I forget to post. I don't know. Are you like that? Where you're like afterwards, you say, "Darn it, I should have posted." But anyway, I did post a picture of Meg. I just had my regular phone. I didn't have my camera. So just a picture of Megan in the field. They won. I don't remember the final score. At the end of the first quarter, it was something like 2-1. And Mo and I were like, "Ooh, this is going to be a tight game." 2-1 or 3-1. I'm not sure. We were in the lead. Megan scored the very first goal. But then they kind of opened it up in the second quarter, and they had a 4-goal lead by halftime, and it got a little dicey there, but then they went off and they took off and they just did really well. So Megan had 3 goals and an assist. She had a fantastic game. And it was funny because Mo had said, that's probably the best game we've ever seen her play. She, lacrosse can be, she's an attacker. So she's at the scoring end of the field. And whether you're a defender or attacker, there's sticks flying around. There's a lot going on. This ball that can be whipped across, it can be a lot and very physical. And Megan is short. Megan is 5 feet if she's lucky. And you'll have girls towering over. She gets hit in the head all the time, I feel like. But she was fearless. She was absolutely fearless on Wednesday. And it was nice to see, because in times past, she might have backed away from some of that. But I don't know, maybe it's just the extra confidence of her senior year. She's 21. She's kind of coming into her own. And she was just absolutely fearless. And she looked fantastic. So we were really thrilled that we were able to go to that game. We can't go to every game. This weekend they're away, and it's just a little bit too far. So we are just, hopefully the TV coverage will be good for streaming, and we'll be able to watch it that way. And it was a beautiful day. It was maybe 60, but the sun was out, and then it kind of got windy, but I was in short sleeves for a good portion of the game. It was only at the end that I put the sweatshirt on. Because it was just really, really nice day. I had sunscreened. I actually had to reapply though, because the sun was shining on one side. And so I felt like that was so I think I'm okay. I don't think I burned. I try to be really good about that. But yeah, so that was that. And so like I said, this weekend, I've got a list for Mo. He's got to put the lights in the screen porch up, because nobody trusts me on a ladder. I can trip over my own 2 feet. You do not want to put me on a ladder. I've fallen off, I've stepped off ladders before, so in the wrong way. So it's him that's doing that. And he's already done quite a bit of the IKEA before, so he's doing that as well. So I have this list of things he needs to do. So that's Saturday, along with watching Megan. And then hopefully on Sunday, if the weather's a little bit nicer, because it's supposed to rain through Saturday, on Sunday, if it's nicer, we might go down to Bethany and visit a couple places there. Kind of like fun home decor things. See if I can find either lamps or those tables that I might be looking for. So it might be fun to do that. And they're right by the beach, so there's a boardwalk down in Bethany. So we maybe take a nice little walk if the weather's nice. So those are my weekend plans. I have to get a filling done on my tooth on Tuesday. Now, I had a great experience with the dentist with the cleaning. Hopefully the filling is as good an experience. That's probably the only filling I've ever had in my life. I didn't even realize it fell out. So I am a little nervous about that experience. But, like I said, they were very nice there. So hopefully it will be fine. And, like I said, I've only had, I think, Novocaine once, because I've only had the one filling. So I really don't remember how long it lasted and whatever. So we'll see how that goes. And that's about it. That's about all I've got planned at the moment. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So I hope you've got lots of stitching done. If you are still here, thank you very much. Today's tea, which I'm going to have a huge sip of when we're done, is, what did I go with? I went with the hibiscus beet ginger tea today, which I really like. It's got a little bit of a sharp, because the ginger sometimes can be a little bit sharp, but the hibiscus kind of mellows that out a little bit. So yeah, so that's my tea today. And that's it. I'm hoping to, I don't know what I'm stitching on today. I do want to stitch on my full coverage. Next week it will be, you'll see Minnie Watching the World Go By. That's the one I chose for this week. So you will see that next week. So I do want to get some of that in. And from there, it's anybody's guess. So we'll see. All right. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I hope you're well. I hope you're safe. I hope everything is going all right for you at this point in time. I'm thinking about you if it's not, and I'm sending you good vibes if you need them, because as always, we want to make sure everybody's okay. And remember to take care of yourself and give yourself some self-care, because you are important and you matter, and you need to take care of yourself too. All right. Until next time, happy stitching.